Hey, my name is Carson, and this was supposed to be my UI project. Unfortunately, I didn't actually have time to do the project, so I figured I'd just record myself playing some Doom and hope that my mad skills are enough to get me a good grade. Alright, so let's go ahead and boot this up, start a new game. I love Doom so much, it's such a classic. The way it revolutionized the 3D gaming industry is crazy. Let me get this armor pack over here. Sweet full armor. Alright, I guess let's go play some enemies. Yeah! Alright. Enemies! There are no enemies. I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be enemies, right? Like enemies in this area? That's weird. Alright, I guess I'll just play through the... Maybe my game's bugged? I guess I'll just play through the rest of the level. Yeah, come over here, get some stuff. I feel like there's also items missing. I feel like there should be some stuff. Whatever, I'll just... Wait a second. I don't think this is Doom. This is Unreal Engine. Okay, yeah, I lied. For my project, I recreated Doom in Unreal. I wanted to really challenge myself with this project, and I really love how the UI system is set up in the original Doom. It's just the right amount of complex, yet easy for the player to understand, so let's just get into how I put it all together. Fortunately, all the models, sound effects, and sprites were already online for me to download, so I didn't have to do really anything on the art side of things, and was just able to focus on the programming. First thing I did was program the player character. This was fairly simple, as I just used a base character and then removed the ability to look up and down, just like in the original game. I also used a timeline to add that little head bob to the player that starts and pauses as the player moves. Once I had a basis to go off of, I began work on the UI. I started with the main menu, and I'm not going to go too much into depth with how I did the main menu and the pause menu, because I spent the most amount of time working on the player hotbar, and the two pretty much work the same. So in the main game, you can tell which option you have selected by the skulls next to them. I added the skull sprites next to each option in the widget designer, and then made them visible or hidden based on an integer representing which option you have selected. You can scroll through the options using up and down or W and S, which either adds to the integer, moving it down, or subtracts from the integer, moving it back up. Then, whenever the player presses enter, it will use that same integer to determine which position it's in and what action to call. Alright, on to the fun stuff. For the player hotbar, I decided to split it up into 6 parts. Current ammo count, player health, character expressions, armor, keycards, and overall ammo. Before I get into that though, let me first talk about how I made the props and pickups around the map. I started by making a base prop which had an empty flipbook attached that I could set for any child actor that I made. I also used this as the base for all the blueprinting I would need for all the child actors, that way I would only have one blueprint to worry about. I'm not going to go too into depth with how they all work, as I don't want this video to go on forever, but I do have a full blueprint on my ArtStation if you're curious. Alright, first I'll talk about the player's health and armor, as they work pretty much the same. I created 2 to 3 different pickups for each, one adding +1 to the armor, +1 to the health, +100 to the armor, +10 to the health, and +25 to the health. With both of the +1 pickups, they can increment the counter up to 999, yet every other pickup caps at 100, just like in the original game. This then casts to the UI widget, which sets an integer for the player's health and armor to the new amount, then calls an event to update the counter. Next, I'll talk about the player face. To update the face sprite, I created an array with each sprite of each damage state set by 3s. Then I created a loop that would randomly select an integer within a range of 3 based on the 3 directions he can look. Then a separate event will set a damage state based on the player's health integer. This will then multiply the range of the loop to change the 3 sprites that are randomly switched between. Next, I made the keycard pickups. These simply work by setting the keycard sprite on the player UI to visible once picked up. These were pretty simple. Finally, let's talk about the ammo and the player gun. Before I worked on the ammo, I knew I had to get the gunfire mechanic working. To do this, I created a separate widget for the hand animations. The side-to-side sway is created using a looping animation I made within the widget, and its playback speed is based on the player velocity. Then, whenever the player left-clicks, that animation is stopped, and another animation for the firing effect is played. The previous animation starts back up after the firing is done. I then went back into my hotbar widget and made a custom event to decrement the ammo count by 1 and update the 2 counters on the main HUD. This event is called each time the player fires, and once the counter hits 0, the left click event is unable to be used. And that's just about everything I did for this project. There's a lot I would have liked to have added, such as ammo packs, other weapons, a damage system, and a lot more, but unfortunately I didn't get around to working on those during the time that I had. I do hope the project was enjoyable for you though, and I look forward to continuing this project in my own time. Thank you so much.